Shalom. First off, you all praise, honor, and glory unto Yahweh Bashem Yashai Bashem Karkadash. Double honors to the apostles and the elders of GMS. Salutes and honors to the elect, all the brothers across the four corners who are doing in truth and sincerity, and the women, the children, and the confusion of faith to follow. So I wanted to really do this lesson, just take a deeper dive on what the elder brother in our camp, Rahib Amath, was speaking about at camp yesterday concerning our enemies, how they are confederate against us to this day. So I'm going to start at Psalms 83, and starting at verse 3, it says, "They have taken crafty counsel against thy people, and consulted against thy hidden ones. They have said, Come, let us cut them off from being a nation, that the name Israel may be no more in remembrance." So that's the issue that we're facing today. The name Israel is no more remembrance. You ask the people who they are, they say that they're Africans. They may say they're Mexican, or they're Bahamian, they're Nigerian, they're anything except an Israelite, because they have cut off our existence. We went through this last slavery, and our heritage was taken from us. So when you see all these councils that we have today, such as NATO, such as all these NATO countries, um, the International Criminal Court, there is no representation for the children of Israel. Why? Why is that? Because our enemies are confederate against us, as the scripture says. Let's go back to that. It says, verse 5, For they have consulted together with one consent, they are confederate against thee. All right, it says that they are confederate against us. Let's get this word confederate.
Strong's H 1285. Berith.
It says a convenient alliance, pledge between men, a treaty, alliance, a league, man to man. Which, when you go back to leagues, you had the League of Nations, which was the forerunner to the United Nations. They created the League of Nations after World War One, I believe, to quell World War, so that this would never happen again. And ironically, what happens? You have Germany, who is a part of the League of Nations. You had Ireland, Italy, and Japan, who were also members of the League of Nations. They all dropped out and became what was known as the Axis powers, and started World War II. And from the ashes of World War II, that's where you have Slovakia. From the ashes of World War II, that's where you have the 48ers come out. That's where you have the United Nations come from as well. That's where you have the P5 as well. And we're going to get into that in a moment. But this shows that, they are in one consent against us. Okay? The word conspire means to breathe together. They're breathing together against us. Who? Says the tabernacles of Edom, the so-called white man. The Ishmaelites, okay, the Arabs of Moab, China, and the Hagarenes, which are so-called Africans, Hamites. Gebal and Ammon. Gebal I believe that was I believe that was an African, but I'm not sure. But Ammon is definitely Japan, the so-called Japanese, and Amalek, which is the head of the Tabernacles of Edom. Amalek is those 48ers, should I say, the Philistines and the inhabitants of Tyre, which are another bunch of Hamites. But all these are Confederate against us. Now let's look at this United Nations. Look at all these flags. Will you see a Chinese flag up there? Yeah. Will you see a Japanese flag? Yeah. Will you see all these Edomite nations, all these NATO nations? Will you see them? Yeah. Will you see all these African nations? Yeah. You're going to see all these nations, but you're not going to see a representative for Israel because they are conspired together to keep us down on the bottom. Okay. Um. So as we said before, you have what's called the International Criminal Court. The United States is not a part of the International Criminal Court. All right. So it says the United States is not a state party to the Rome Statute of the International Criminal Court, which founded the International Criminal Court in 2002 as a permanent international criminal court to bring to justice the perpetrators of the worst crimes known to humankind: war crimes, crimes against humanity, genocide, and genocide when national courts are unable or unwilling to do so. Now, why is the United States? Hold on, before I get into that, let's go into the ICC. It says that it is intended to complement existing national judicial systems, and it may therefore exercise its jurisdiction only when national courts are unwilling or unable to prosecute criminals. The ICC lacks universal territorial jurisdiction and may only investigate and prosecute crimes committed within member states. So it cannot prosecute the United States for any of its crimes because it's not a member state. Now it says crimes against humanity. Let's see what falls under that subject. Article 7 defines crimes against humanity as acts committed as part of a widespread or systematic attack directed against any civilian population with knowledge of the attack. Okay, and it lists 16 different individual crimes. Murder. Now we know, and all these things the so-called United States is um, guilty of when dealing with the children of Israel, when dealing with the Negroes, the Latinos, and the Native Americans. Did they murder? Yes. They murdered countless of numbers of the Native Americans. They murdered countless of the so-called Negroes. They murdered countless number of Latinos in this land as well. Extermination, they tried. Enslavement, guilty. Deportation or forcible transfer of a population, guilty. Imprisonment or other severe deprivation of physical liberty, guilty. Torture, guilty. Rape, guilty. Sexual slavery, guilty. Enforced prostitution, guilty. Forced pregnancy, guilty. Enforced sterilization, did we not have the Tuskegee experiments? What is this Planned Parenthood stuff? This is enforced sterilization and potentially the medical. You know what I'm talking about? That medical sexual violence, guilty. Persecution, Guilty. Enforced disappearance of persons? Guilty. Apartheid? Guilty. Other inhumane acts? Oh, you mean like feeding or using children, babies for alligator bait? Things of that nature? Guilty. But the United States, even though they signed off, let's go back. Because when you read, and this is the stuff that they don't want you to know, the United States policy concerning the ICC has varied widely. The Clinton administration excuse me, signed the Rome Statute in 2000, but did not submit it for Senate ratification. The Bush administration, the U.S. administration at the time of the ICC's founding, stated that it would not join the ICC. The Obama administration subsequently reestablished a working relationship with the court as an observer, but they didn't join. Why? Because now anyone that takes anyone to court concerning slavery or the annihilation of the Native Americans, all right, America will be liable for it. So what does America do? I know we slaughtered you. I know we had you in slavery. Here's Juneteenth. It's a federal holiday now. Like that makes up for 400 years of slavery, of rape, robbery, murder, torture, debauchery. You set a people behind 400 years. You overdid what we now. Just to bring things in context, we went into slavery because of our, as a nation, bad choices serving other gods. But you're going to drink of that same cup, Esau. That's why you have these different United Nations and NATO. You have all these different security councils because the United States is actually a part of the P5, the United Nations Security Council. It says one of the six principal uh, or, um, organs of the United Nations charged with ensuring international peace and security, recommending the admission of the new excuse me the admission of new UN members to the General Assembly and approving and changes to the UN Charter. Its powers include establishing peacekeeping operations, enacting international sanctions, and authorizing military actions. Okay, these are the the job of the Security Council, and who is the permanent members. Let's see. The Security Council consists of 15 members, of which 5 are permanent: China, France, Russia, the United Kingdom, and the United States. These were the great powers or the successor states that were victors of World War II. Going back to what we said before, after World War II was set up, you had these different countries who basically took over the running of the world. And till this day, they keep us under their thumb. None of these other countries would dare bring up any pressing charges against the United States for the treatment of the Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans that have been done in this country for a multitude of reasons. Number one, they're the head of every council. and they've made a deal with these people. They're in league and confederate with these people. They're conspiring with these people. That's why you can hear, the United States say, "Oh my God, it's so atrocious what they're doing in so and so's country. We have to go over there and you know get the peacekeepers over there." Well, how about it was so atrocious what was done in American soil? But you're not going to have, like I said, you're not going to have anyone go to the bat for the children of Israel. Why? Because they have consulted together with one consent. They are confederate against thee. Now, let's go into Revelation 17 and 1. It says, "And there came one of the seven angels which had the seven vials, and talked to me, saying unto me, Come hither, I will show thee the judgments of the great whore that sitteth upon many waters." That great whore being America, which is also known as Babylon, the land of confusion. And it says that whore that sitteth upon many waters. That waters is speaking about nations. Like I said, America is the head, is it basically controls all these nations. When you look at NATO, the North Atlantic Treaty Organization, all of these all these countries are Edomite ran countries. You have mostly Jake down here, you have mostly Ham over here, you have Ishmael right here, and you have, of course you have Russia up here, but Russia is like an outsider. Russia is in opposition to, these guys, these NATO members. But you have Ishmael right here. Um, for the most part, Moab over here and Ammon over here, Moab down there, and you have the Persians right in this area. The Elam. But you can see this is the Council of the Edomites, the North Atlantic Treaty Organization. Now it's more than just Edomites that stay there, but we're talking about the majority. Who runs this organization? Who are the heads of these states? You don't have you know Chinese running France. It's the Edomite that runs France. Uh, Going back, it says, "With whom the kings of the earth have committed fornication." Okay, and the inhabitants of the earth have been made drunk with the wine of her fornication. And what is the wine of her fornication? Definitely that Christianity. You have, going back to this map, you had, Christianity come over here and they forced it upon the Latinos and the natives. And then you had the slave trade where they brought slaves from West Africa to the Americas where they forced Christianity over. And then you had them spread it throughout the four corners of the world, bringing it to, Africa, bringing it to the Philippines and different places all over the world. They spread their dogma. They spread their doctrine. So he carried me away in the spirit into the wilderness, and I saw a woman, America, sitting upon a scarlet-colored beast, full of the names of blasphemy, having 7 heads and 10 horns, which is NATO and the EU. If you don't know what the EU is, it's Europe. Now, it was 7 original states, but they've broken up into many smaller countries. But it's still this landmass. Okay, so this is NATO. This is NATO, the whole of it, and this is just the EU, which is still a part of NATO, which are the 7 heads and the 10 horns. These are the people that America is sitting upon because America runs things. America's not going to let the cat out the bag, so to speak. Everyone knows who the children of Israel are, except the children of Israel, and they're going to keep it that way. They're Confederate against us. You're not going to have any one of these states say, come up and condemn America for its past actions, for its current actions. This is Psalm 64. Um, I'll start at verse 1. It says, "Hear my voice, O Most High. In my prayer, preserve my life from fear of the enemy. Hide me from the secret counsel of the wicked, from the insurrection of the workers of iniquity." Who is that secret counsel of the wicked? Okay, it's talking about the elites. And I know I've been speaking about governments, as concerning all these different countries, but the elites run these countries. The elites are really the heads of NATO, the EU, the the United Nations. They're the ones who really are pulling all the strings. At the end of the day, they are the spoon stirring the drink. They make the world go round, and we're under their rule. It says, "Who whet their tongue like a sword." Okay, if you know what a whetstone is, it's used to sharpen a sword, and bend their bows to shoot their arrows, even bitter words. Now, it's not just talking about ICBM missiles, which those are arrows, and which they are in charge of pretty much because they do, like I said, they are the straw that stirs the drink. But they are the ones who are dictating all of the laws. They are the ones who are dictating all the action that's going on in the world. They are behind closed doors, behind the scene, at their summit meetings, at their meetings in their groves. They are the ones who are deciding policy. They are the ones who are putting who they choose and pick and choose into office so that their bidding may be done. We're dealing with an elite level of people, a top 1% of people. Not to say that they're the best of people, because we know that the elected is the best of people. But in this world, the top 1% are those elite banking families. They're the ones who are dictating, like I said, all the policies that are going forth on the earth. And you think they want me to be making this video? Do you think they want the true children of Israel to understand and know who they are and realize the power that we actually have? No. No. So there was a lot of information that came out in this video. Is there anything else that I wanted to get? Yeah, I'll get this Obadiah while I'm here. Obadiah 1 and 6, it says, "How are the things of Esau searched up or searched out? How are his hidden things sought up?" Because we now understand who the quote Illuminati is, or who the elite international bankers are. The DuPonts, the Gettys, the Rockefellers. We know who these people are and what their nefarious plans are. So we can make videos like this, and other people can make videos like this, exposing these people, as it says in Isaiah 47. It says, "All the men of thy confederacy have brought thee even to the border." Okay? The men that were at peace with thee have deceived thee. So, you're going to have at a point in time, all these nations, okay, that are Confederate with the United States are going to turn on them. They're not going to be so buddy anymore. And it says, and they have prevailed against thee. They that eat thy bread have laid a wound under thee. Then it says, there is no understanding in him. Okay, so here soon in the future, there's going to be an event that is going to turn the masses of people. They're going to switch sides. And more than likely, it's going to have something to do with those 48ers over there in our land. It says that the least of the flock shall draw them out. So you're going to have this third World War where, matter of fact, it says, let's get Jeremiah 50. Here you go. Jeremiah 50 and 14, it says, Put yourselves in array against Babylon round about. All ye that bend the bow, shoot at her, spare no arrow, for she has sinned against the Lord. So it says, um, all thee that bend the bow, all thee that have these nuclear weapons to shoot at Babylon. And we know that there are multiple states that are of the EU that have these weapons. The United Kingdom has them. France has them. Germany can't have them. Let me see. Just off the top, just to think, you have Pakistan, India, China, Russia, South Africa. You know, who has nukes? The United States, Russia, France, China, the United Kingdom, Pakistan, India, Israel, North Korea. You're going to have all these nations shooting at America, shooting their ICBM missiles at America and destroying it. Along with, that's the World War III. But along with that, the Lord is going to come back and redeem his people. You're going to have a so-called UFO invasion, which we know that those are the angels in those ships. You're going to have them redeem the elect of the children of Israel. We're going to come back and we're going to set up a righteous kingdom here. We're going to defeat the plans of the, quote, elite bankers. So they can keep their confederacy against us. That's fine. Keep their conspire or conspiracy against us. It's cool. The Lord has his army. The Lord is bringing back the judgment on Esau. So with that being said, a lot of information. I hope that you were edified. And when we give all praise, honor, and glory unto Yahweh by Shem Yahshai by Shem Kadash, the apostles and elders of GMS. Salute and honor to the elect, all the brothers across the four corners who are enduring in truth and sincerity, the women, the children, and the confused and faithful who follow. Shalom.